Welcome to our channel, where we turn everyday coins into eye-opening surprises. Some of the rarest US pennies ever made are still out there, in drawers, jars, and yes, even in your pocket. Stick around, because today we're uncovering a few of these hidden gems that could be worth far more than 1 cent. Ever think a penny could be more than just pocket change? Let's start today's video with a coin that looks completely ordinary, the kind you might overlook without a second thought. But hidden within a few of these coins is something that makes them extremely valuable. We're kicking things off with the 1970 Lincoln cent, a coin that millions of people handled without realizing what it could be worth under the right conditions. Now, here's the thing, the 1970 penny isn't rare because of how many were made. In fact, over 3.5 billion of them were produced at the Denver Mint that year. You could easily find one in an old jar, a drawer, or maybe even in pocket change if you're lucky. But like many coins, its real value comes down to one thing: detail. Let's take a quick look at the design. On the front, you've got Abraham Lincoln's right-facing portrait, a design used on the cent since 1909. Just beneath the date, you'll see the small D mint mark for Denver. On the back, instead of the Lincoln Memorial seen on later coins, this one still carries the classic wheat ears design, also known as the wheat reverse. Now here's where collectors get interested. On most 1970 pennies, the reverse design, especially the steps in the wheat stalks, is either faint, soft, or partially merged. That was common, mainly due to worn dies or weaker striking pressure, which affected fine detail. The mint's focus at the time was quantity, not perfection. But in rare cases, a coin was struck with unusually sharp detail, and the lines in those wheat stalks, called steps, came out fully visible and clearly separated. These are known in the coin world as full steps coins. This level of detail isn't easy to find. It takes a perfect combination of timing, equipment, and preservation. Coins with full steps were most likely struck early in a die's life, with fresh, clean surfaces and solid pressure. But even that's not enough. They also had to be stored carefully, avoiding scratches, wear, or discoloration, not something most pennies were lucky enough to experience. Collectors love these full steps varieties not just because they're rare, but because they showcase the mint's ability to produce truly crisp designs. They're proof that even the most basic coin, when made and preserved under the right conditions, can become something special. It also adds an extra layer of excitement to coin hunting. Knowing that a nearly flawless example could still be out there in a roll or forgotten drawer is part of what keeps collectors searching. And while not every 1970 penny will have full steps, examining coins closely builds the skills collectors need to spot other valuable traits. Some even specialize in full-step varieties across different years and mints, building entire sets around these sharp-struck examples. It's a niche within the hobby, but one that has real depth and reward for those who commit to it. Coins like this also highlight how condition affects value more than age alone. A well-struck coin in perfect shape can be worth far more than an older piece in poor condition. Even slight differences in strike quality can make a huge difference when it comes to market value. That's why understanding these details is so important if you're collecting not just for fun, but as an investment too. Because once a full steps example is found and certified, it becomes part of a very small population, and scarcity drives interest. And with high-grade examples rarely hitting the market, prices reflect just how tough they are to acquire. These coins are sent to grading services like PCGS or NGC, where experts look at them under magnification. They check the strike quality, original luster, and most importantly, those steps on the reverse. If the lines are fully visible and unbroken, and the rest of the coin is in excellent shape, it earns the full steps designation. That full steps label is what changes everything. Most 1970 cents, even uncirculated ones, won't have it. But the few that do, especially in mint state grades like MS 66 or above, are in high demand. Over the years, only a small number of 1970 full steps pennies have been officially recognized. That's what drives up their appeal. It's not a coin you can find easily, and when one appears at auction, collectors know they may not get another shot anytime soon. This isn't just about one rare coin. It's a reminder that details matter, and sometimes, it's the tiny features that separate a basic coin from a collectible worth thousands. So what's the market like for one of these? One certified example, a full steps 1970 D Lincoln cent in top mint state condition, was sold at auction for $93,000. Not because it was made of gold. Not because it had an error. But because it was struck perfectly, preserved carefully, and recognized officially as one of the finest of its kind. It's a powerful example of how much value can be hidden in plain sight. A small coin, easily missed, but worth more than most would ever guess, and that's just the beginning of today's video. We've got more coins coming up, each with its own story, and each proving that in the world of collecting, it pays to look closely. Up next, we're shifting to a coin from the 1980s, a time when most people thought valuable coins were already a thing of the past. But every now and then, something unexpected appears from a year no one was paying much attention to. That brings us to the 1983 D Lincoln cent, a coin that might still be hiding in plain sight, and one specific example has stunned collectors with a value you wouldn't expect from a modern penny. Let's set the scene. It's 1983, and the US Mint is in its second year of producing Lincoln cents with a brand new metal composition, zinc-coated in copper. This change happened in mid-1982, when the cost of making solid copper coins became too high. From that point on, pennies were made with a zinc core and a thin outer layer of copper, a change that significantly altered the weight, appearance, and feel of the coin. The Denver Mint was one of the main facilities striking these new cents. In 1983 alone, over 6.4 billion Lincoln pennies were minted with the D Mint mark. With numbers like that, the idea of one penny being worth more than a brand new car seems almost impossible. But here's where it gets interesting. Most 1983 D pennies are exactly what you'd expect: common, light, and often lightly worn from years in circulation. But one particular example defied those expectations. It wasn't valuable because of a double die or a misprint. It didn't have a dramatic minting error. Instead, it stood out because of how it was made, and what it revealed. This rare penny showed an unexpected combination of characteristics that didn't align with normal 1983 D production. It had a sharper strike, finer detail, and stronger surfaces than typically seen on a coin made with zinc and copper plating. In fact, it showed traits that made some wonder whether it had been struck using leftover equipment, or under unique conditions not meant for general circulation. Collectors and grading professionals took a closer look. The coin was authentic, no modifications, no damage, no alterations. What made it stand out was its quality, its weight, and most importantly, its exceptional preservation. Even the tiniest details, like Lincoln's hair and coat, as well as the lettering and rim, were unusually crisp for a coin of that year. In the world of coin collecting, these small differences matter a lot. Especially when you're dealing with modern coins, where billions are made, and only a handful ever rise to the top. This penny didn't just look good, it was graded at an extremely high level, with a condition that is rarely seen for this type of coin. It's also important to understand how difficult it is to preserve a zinc-based coin in top shape. Zinc is more prone to spotting, corrosion, and environmental damage compared to earlier copper coins. That's why high-grade examples from the early zinc years, like 1983, are especially hard to find. The fact that this coin avoided even minor surface flaws after decades makes it even more impressive. It's not just the strike, it's the complete condition of the coin that pushes it into elite territory. Even professional coin dealers rarely come across examples this pristine from this year. For many collectors, this coin represents a once-in-a-lifetime find. It also highlights how quality control at the mint can sometimes produce coins that were never intended to stand out. But when one does, and it's preserved correctly, the value can be significant. This is why experienced collectors examine coins under magnification, because value often hides in the smallest details. A difference you can barely see with the naked eye could mean the difference between 1 cent and tens of thousands of dollars. This particular 1983 D penny became something of a benchmark. Not just because of its grade, but because it changed how collectors looked at modern-era cents. It reminded the community that even recent coins can hold surprises, and that careful inspection can sometimes reveal something truly special. After professional grading and expert verification, the coin gained serious attention from those who specialize in high-end Lincoln cents. It didn't need hype, the quality spoke for itself. And that brings us to its value. This single 1983 D Lincoln penny, a coin that most people would pass over without a second thought, was valued at $74,000. That's right. A 1-cent coin, made in the 1980s, with no visible error, struck from ordinary metals, was sold for more than many brand new vehicles. And all because it was struck just right, preserved perfectly, and recognized for its rarity. It's an incredible reminder that not all valuable coins are old, silver, or visibly flawed. Sometimes, it's the combination of quality and scarcity that makes a coin truly stand out. So if you're going through a coin jar, pay attention to those newer dates too. You never know what might turn up, because value isn't always about age. It's about the story a coin tells, and the condition it's been kept in. Sometimes, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance can end up being a once-in-a-lifetime find. One small detail, a mint error, a rare variety, or an unusually high grade, can change everything. That's why seasoned collectors inspect every coin, not just the old ones. Because in the world of numismatics, even a modern dime can be worth a fortune. Stick around, the next coin we're featuring has its own story, and you won't want to miss it. Now let's move on to a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance but holds a fascinating secret. The 2000 D Lincoln penny was minted in massive quantities, and most of these coins are everyday change, common and often overlooked. But hidden among these billions are rare error coins that have captured the attention of collectors and experts alike. The year 2000 marked the beginning of a new millennium, and the U.S. Mint was producing an enormous volume of pennies to meet ongoing demand. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark below the date, was responsible for striking millions of these coins. Normally, the mint mark is perfectly clear and sharply struck, but in certain error coins, the D is missing, faint, doubled, or distorted. This kind of mint mark error happens during the coin's production process. The mint mark is applied to the die before coins are struck. If the punch used to apply the mint mark isn't fully pressed, misaligned, or if debris is caught on the die, it can cause an incomplete or doubled mint mark. These errors are usually caught quickly and corrected, meaning only a small batch of coins are affected. For a casual observer, a missing or doubled mint mark might go completely unnoticed. But for collectors, this tiny difference makes the coin incredibly valuable. It represents a moment in history when the production process was imperfect, something rare in modern coinage where quality control is extremely high. What's especially compelling about these error pennies is the story they tell. They remind us that even in a heavily mechanized system, mistakes happen. Each coin with a mint mark error is a snapshot of an unexpected glitch during the minting process. Not all 2000 D pennies with mint mark anomalies are valuable. Condition plays a huge role. Because pennies minted after 1982 contain a zinc core coated with copper, they are more susceptible to corrosion, spotting, and damage over time. That means finding one of these error pennies in excellent condition is extremely rare. Collectors value examples with strong details, sharp strikes, clear date and lettering, and a well-defined Lincoln portrait, alongside the mint mark error. Coins that maintain their original luster, free from scratches or discoloration, attract the highest interest. The fascination with error coins isn't just about rarity. It's about the challenge of discovery. Collectors love hunting for these anomalies in rolls of coins, inspecting each penny closely to find one with that unusual mint mark. It's a bit like searching for a needle in a haystack, which only adds to the excitement and value. Experts authenticate these coins through grading services that confirm the mint mark error and assess the overall condition. This authentication process is crucial because counterfeit or altered coins can sometimes appear on the market. In addition, the grading services assign a grade that reflects how well the coin has been preserved, from circulated wear to pristine mint state. Higher grades usually translate to higher value, especially for error coins like this. Due to their rarity and condition, these 2000D error pennies have reached impressive values in private sales and private collections. One such example, preserved in outstanding condition, was valued at $55,000. This highlights an important point: in coin collecting, value is often about more than just the coin's metal content or age. It's the story behind the coin, the unique characteristics and preservation, that give it worth. The market for modern era coins has grown significantly over the last few decades, attracting a new generation of collectors interested in these quirks of minting. Many collectors also appreciate the historical context. The year 2000 was a time of technological change and increased mint production efficiency, making errors like these all the more intriguing. What's also interesting is how these coins can ignite passion among collectors who specialize solely in mint mark errors or modern pennies, turning what some see as simple change into prized possessions. Sometimes, even small variations in the placement or clarity of the mint mark can lead to further research and discoveries, fueling ongoing interest in these coins. Collectors often share stories about how they found these errors, sometimes in change given back at stores, or tucked away in coin rolls, adding a personal touch to their value. These pennies remind us that no matter how common a coin may seem, there's always potential for something rare and valuable lurking beneath the surface. It's a reminder to never underestimate the stories that everyday coins can tell, or the surprises they might hold for those willing to look closely. In fact, the hunt for error coins like the 2000D Lincoln penny encourages many to develop a deeper appreciation for coinage and the complexities of minting. It shows us that imperfections can sometimes be the most valuable features. So next time you're sorting through your loose change or old coin jars, take a closer look at the pennies from the year 2000. Pay special attention to the mint marks. That small letter could hide a rare error worth far more than its face value. Remember, sometimes the most ordinary coins can tell the most extraordinary stories. Next up is a penny you might have seen 100 times without ever giving it a second thought. A coin so modern and so common-looking that most people would never expect it to be anything more than a single cent. But hidden among the countless 2015D Lincoln pennies is one that challenges that assumption entirely. Most people think coin collecting is only about old coins, those dated decades ago, with worn edges and faded designs. But sometimes, a coin doesn't have to be ancient to be interesting. In fact, some of the most surprising finds are sitting in plain sight, struck just a few years ago, quietly waiting to be noticed. That in 2015, the U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity. Billions of pennies were being produced to meet daily demand, and the Denver Mint alone struck an enormous number of them. These coins followed the same design the Mint had been using since 2010, the Union Shield reverse, introduced to symbolize a united nation, and the familiar portrait of President Lincoln on the front. Everything about the coin followed the script. It weighed the standard 2.5 grams, measured the usual 19 millimeters, and carried a copper-plated zinc composition like all post-1982 cents, but once in a while, even a modern minting system has its flaws. Despite today's advanced quality control processes, small imperfections can still slip through. And for collectors, that's where the real excitement begins. Somewhere in the Denver Mint's 2015 production run, a small group of pennies left the presses with something they shouldn't have had, or more specifically, with something that didn't look the way it was supposed to. The D Mint mark on some of these coins turned out to be slightly off. It was either doubled, misaligned, or distorted in a way that's hard to miss once you know what to look for. It's the kind of thing you might catch by chance if you're holding the coin under good lighting, or if you're used to seeing perfectly formed mint marks and suddenly something doesn't look quite right. How could this happen on a coin struck in 2015, during an era where digital technology and precision tools are used for every stage of the minting process? The answer goes back to the way mint marks are added to the dies, the metal stamps used to strike coin designs into blank metal discs. A mint mark can be affected during die creation or repeated striking of the coins. Normally, such errors are caught before many coins are produced, but every now and then, a few slip through. On coins from the early 20th century, mint mark errors are more common, but on modern coins they're much less expected. That's why when they do occur, collectors pay attention. Not just because they're rare, but because they offer a glimpse into how even modern systems can miss something small. This isn't just about a blurry letter or a slightly off design. It's about how those small imperfections, when preserved in good condition, can create something truly valuable. Because it's not just the error that matters. It's also the state of the coin itself. A penny that has been tossed around in pockets for years, scraped against keys, or spent time in humid storage might carry an error, but it won't command much value. If the mint mark seems strange and the rest of the coin still has strong detail, it might be worth a second opinion. That's when collectors send the coin to be professionally graded. Grading services examine the error and the condition, looking at surface quality, sharpness of the design, luster, and eye appeal. If the coin is in excellent condition, especially in mint state, it becomes a strong candidate for premium value. The interesting thing is how modern collectors are now actively searching through everyday coins for examples just like this. Gone are the days when people only looked for silver coins or ancient wheat pennies. Now, even recent years are under scrutiny. Roll hunters and coin enthusiasts have started checking even the newest pennies for doubling, off-center strikes, die chips, and of course, mint mark errors. The fact that coins struck so recently can reach serious collector value is proof that you don't need a century-old coin to own something special. What makes the 2015 D-era penny even more remarkable is that it comes from a year when there were no major design changes or historical events that would have made people pay special attention to the cent. It's just an ordinary year. In the middle of an uneventful production run, a small batch of coins ended up different. And those differences are what drive interest, and in some cases, serious financial value. There are collectors who specialize entirely in error coins. For them, a mispunched mint mark or a doubled letter is as exciting as a coin struck 100 years ago. What makes this area of collecting so appealing is that anyone, anywhere, can potentially find something valuable. Coins like the 2015 D-era penny become part of a bigger story. It's no longer just about the metal or the age of the coin, it's about the uniqueness. A single small flaw, preserved under the right conditions, can turn a 1-cent piece into something far more meaningful, and here's where it gets even more interesting. One example of this 2015 D-era penny, featuring a visibly affected mint mark and graded in superb condition, was recently evaluated and added to a private collection. Its owner had found it not in a rare coin dealer's shop, but in an ordinary setting. After authentication and grading, it became clear that this wasn't just a minor curiosity, it was a genuinely rare coin. So what was the value of that penny? It was valued at $31,000. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this look into the unexpected value of modern coins, consider subscribing for more stories like this. We'll continue exploring coins that surprise us, coins that teach us something, and coins that might be sitting in your own home without you even realizing it.